Hello and welcome back to another character creation video. My name's Lumin and today we're back in Dragon's Dogma II. This time around for feminine Beastren creation and customization. I'm keen for this one. I am. For reasons that you maybe wouldn't expect. I really want to make a good looking Beastren. Okay, I've been struggling with Beastren. So in this video, we're going to look at all the presets available for the bodies and the heads and faces. We're going to look at all the detailed customization options, once again, for the body and the face. We will also include a section at the end that's going to have some of my custom creations, and I really hope they look okay. I don't know. I'm a little self-conscious about my Beastren creation, right? So I'd like to spend a bit more time in here, hopefully with you guys, to acquaint myself a little more completely with the system. If you'd like to jump in, do a deep dive to discover all there is to discover about Dragon's Dogma II, or download this character creator for yourself, you can find some links below. And as always, there will be timestamps. Use them. Find what you're looking for and leave satisfied. As we jump in here now, I will say that there are two different ways you can approach this beginning section. What you can do is, you can either jump in, just pick the body for your feminine Beastren, then you can choose a preset from these bodies. And these are the same as the ones that they have for the humans. It's the same bodies, they have them all here lined up, and it goes from the smallest to the biggest. They got some with muscles on, they got some that are a little larger, a little softer around the edges, and then they got the normal ones. You can do this, and this is fine. But I always say it's better sort of customizing it for yourself. Then you can also, if you just take a step back here, choose a preset. There are only two presets for feminine Beastren available, that's this one and this one. And I will say straight up that these are good presets. They're a little dull, the colors are a little, you can probably do better, but it's a safe choice. It's a safe choice. So you can come here, you can pick these. That's the only two they have available among these other presets. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, you go for that, if that's what you feel like. But again, I do this. I create characters. I always recommend creating characters, especially considering this fantastic system as we jump in here. This right here, they call it the preset picker and the base head selection, I suppose. I call it the preset creator. It's my favorite thing about this entire character creation system. The way it works is you are presented with these 9 faces. The human characters have 5 pages of 9 faces, which is very unfortunate. I wish we had that much on the Beastren, but I understand why we don't. I get why they don't have so many designs for this. But the way it works is you're presented with these 9, and you can click on one of them, and it gives you 9 more choices. Well, technically 8 more with the one that you selected in the middle. And they are basically different versions of the same character. I always like to picture it as you stepping into the multiverse and seeing all the different lives that this character could potentially have led. You know, you can imagine that this is the straightforward base stock standard one. Then you could maybe think of this one as being one that grew up in the snowy mountains. You know, her family settled down there, and because of that, through generations, their pigmentation changed and ended up looking like this instead. You could picture this one as one that at a very young age was picked up by a mercenary crew, and she spent her life hunting down bounties. And yeah, she looks a little more weather-worn and battle ready. You could picture this one as one that's just going through a phase, you know? You have endless possibilities, and it's really just my favorite thing. When you've picked one of these, you can jump in one step further, and then it allows you to customize the structure of the face. It sort of gives you a few choices that are a little different. You will see the ears are changing, the face, the bones, everything like that. Some of them are rounder, more squared out. Some of them are smaller, sort of more petite looking. It is a great system. And then when you select one of these, then you're in. Then you can customize further. And each of these gives you that option. Each of these gives you all those options. It is phenomenal. I love this system. We're going to go through all of these quickly and I'll show you how it works. Once again, that's the first one we picked over there. You get a decent selection, different colors, different... I'm not going to say facial structures because you can see it actually stays mostly the same, but the facial structures are available once you click on them and you go in here, right? So, very cool system. And I feel it offers the player that's not so big on character creation and customization an opportunity to do some character creation and customization in a snap. I love it. It really just makes me happy. So we've looked at this one now. Let's start at the beginning. that's how it works, right? So if we jump in there, these are the options available on the very first one. The next one has a whole new set of options. You will see some trends. Generally, they like to put the scarred one here, and then you can see on the cats, on the Beastren, they like to put the white one at the top here. On the humans, they had the white one bottom left, but they have a darker one here. So this top line's always the same, and then they have some other varieties here. You can see everything is changing. The fur type, the patterns on them, the colors. It's a bunch of different characters. This one actually makes me really happy, because if you look at this one actually has one eye that's smaller than the other. It's got a nice scar across it. It's got an interesting hairstyle, nice colors that are sort of off from the brown that they usually pick. It's just a really interesting looking character, right? It's an interesting looking character with an interesting face shape and everything. Yeah, amazing. For this one, once again, you can see the darker one here, the lighter one in the middle, and the scarred one top right. It's sort of a formula that they follow, and a lot of them share a lot of similarities, but it is just a bunch of different characters. And once again, if you select one of these and you want to jump in, then you get these choices on the face as well, which change a lot, as you can see. It changes the look and feel of the character quite significantly. So it's cool, you know? It's kind of cool. That's that one. Now we're going to jump into this one over here. Now let's see what they do with one that's already black. What do they do with the rest of the presets? They just give you a different version of the black. Not a big fan of that. I actually really want to make a white cat work, but I want to make it look good. I don't know. Every time I've made cats that are sort of lighter in fur tone, they end up looking tacky. I don't know. I think tacky is the right word. Let's look at the central one. Generally, I feel like the central one is your safest bet if you're going for something sort of standard. That's a pretty one. Actually, all of these on this one are pretty. These are all... Oh, that's really nice as well. Wow. Yeah. Because this whole system is very different from human customization. I like this. This is a sort of slightly thicker cat. More chunky. You make this one your muscle mommy. You do that. Yeah. Okay, next up. So it is a pity that they don't have, like, 5 pages worth of options, but I really do feel like with this one page and then the next page that they follow up with, there's enough going on here. And you can see that these ones have completely different eyes, which is really cool. They've done really well on these eyes. They are interesting. They're kind of scary in some situations. And they, too, once again, just offer some decent variety. I don't know. If you guys have any, like, special tactics, if you have any, like, secret hints and tips that you can give me on how to customize the Beastren, how to do a good job, because I feel like there might be some rules that I don't know. And I would say it could be things like stick with like colors, don't go too bright or too dark. There are probably things that you can do, like a set, like a list you can adhere to, that could give you a decent result every time. I just don't know what that is. I think this is meant to be the older one. This one down here. And you can quite clearly see this is meant to be the youngest one. That innocent round face. We are going to jump in with the middle one. That's all the presets that I've just showed you. We're going to jump into the middle one, and I'm going to take middle. Just right here. Boom. Then we're going to take, again, middle, and we just take in sort of... I feel like this is their default female Beastren. Now we're going to go into the detailed customization, and this is, I want to say, where the fun starts, but I feel like it could also be where the frustration starts. Now, there are a few options in here that I personally think don't do very much on Beastren. I mean, maybe it's not even really a personal thing. It is just how it is. A lot of the options on the body specifically, like the muscle style and strength, they don't really do much at all. But this menu right here, this is going to be everything. Like, this is where you're going to do the damage. or set yourself up for perfection, right? So the fur menu, obviously the humans don't have this. The fur menu allows you to choose, firstly, one of 2 fur types. It's the short one or the slightly longer one. I don't know exactly yet, but I feel like, it doesn't make too much of a difference when you zoomed out all the way. And I don't think it affects the performance or anything like that very greatly. But as far as I understand, it does make some stuff a little more difficult to see when you make the fur longer, like markings and scars and tattoos. But again, I'm always sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, we're making a character that's covered in fur. We should have more fur, right? But then I actually saw some comments on videos and some people talking on Reddit saying that this sort of made them nauseous when they when they looked at it, and it looked like their character was continuously stuck in a motion blur or something. And you can sort of see what I'm saying with that, right? And you can see where they're coming from with that, where it sort of adds this weird dizzying effect to it, because you're having all these hairs point towards you and then away from you and then to all the different sides, and then when you look at them, it's sort of mesmerizing. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to leave it on 1, but know that you can make the fur a bit longer. And the nice thing is you can always come back here afterwards. So yeah, keep that in mind. Now we're going to look at the patterns quickly. The patterns are what you'd expect from a cat-like character. You've got sort of like the tiger print, the cheetah, the jaguar, leopard print, whatever. It's all here. And then you have some more basic ones that, as far as I understand, just give you like a few splotches here and there. I've seen some really cute stuff. Okay, I've seen people making characters that look like panda bears, you know? and I've seen people making pretty nice, sleek, like black, that look like proper jaguars, black panthers, not jaguars, and dude, I don't know how they do it. I'm just, again, I'm being honest. You can see that the way this ends up working is it has different zones. So if you look at the pictures here, then you can see the contrast a little better, and I don't know why they have it set up in this way, but like this one has around the neck the patterns, and then this one has over the whole head, up over the whole forehead and everything, and then down on the arms as well. So they don't show the whole body here, but like you can look at it for yourself. Now I'm gonna pick some colors here, different colors, and then we're gonna look at the patterns again, right? After we look at the presets. The presets are just fully set up with colors. Now, I'm going to go through them with nothing on, so you can just see what they look like with these different colors mixed together. Then I'll go through them again with a pattern on, and you'll be able to see how it affects the pattern. These are decent choices, and I feel like they give you a setup with the colors where the colors complement each other. You could ignore all of this and just go dark and hard on the colors, and it can look all right if you do it properly. I've seen it, right? But again, the serving suggestions are picked with care. The guys who made these characters and who set all of these presets up, they know what they're doing. So it's definitely worth like considering what they've got here. If like, maybe, I'd say just consider it. If you can't think of how to combine those colors yourself. I struggle with it. And I'm going to go through this whole thing saying, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best. But let's pick a pattern. Let's take this one and then let's go through there again. And you'll see it looks a little different. The colors are in different places. The one thing again, and this is sort of a theme that I've seen throughout this entire character creator. It's not something to criticize them for, but the one thing I've seen is that they tend to play it safe. They play it safe in that they don't do high contrast on most of the stuff that they do. They have some that are sort of somewhat contrasty, but not 100%. And this is the example I'd like to show you for that. So they give you those where they could have easily given you these, right? Higher contrast. Then if you pull the intensity up on, I'm not sure which color it would be, on this, then the contrast is even higher for the white. You know, you got the white on the black. But this is where my problem comes in, is every time I start fiddling with this, I end up making something that I feel looks a little tacky, right? Now, you can't change the intensity on a black color like that. It doesn't really work all that well. But if you pull all these to the max, right, then what ends up happening is it looks like it doesn't really fit. It doesn't look quote unquote realistic. You have to fiddle with these colors and you have to see if you can find something that works. Now, your brightest white is 16. And I want to show you what it looks like if you put everything on 16, right? It looks a little weird, right? And if you look at the face and stuff, it just looks like it's sort of half cooked, half done. Or it looks like your cat fell in a bag of flour. Now, similar situation when you go for everything on black. Less intense, in my opinion, because on black, you can make the hair sort of fit nicely. You can change that hair color, make it suit the black better. I feel like the black offers you a situation that you can actually claw your way out of, so to speak. But that's the two extremes, right? Now, if you fiddle with these different presets, the different colors that they have here, you can make some really interesting oh god, I just did it. I was hoping I wouldn't do that. Let me go back to black quickly. I clicked the wrong one. I wanted to click on the pattern. So if you mix it up by picking one color in here, let's take this one, right? Then we'll pull the intensity up on all of these, right? Then you can see immediately that you get some stuff that looks really interesting. Very cool colors and stuff. Let me quickly just change the hairstyle. Sorry, I'm like skipping ahead for a second here. I just want to change the hairstyle to something that might not get in the way as much. Let's just take the mohawk. Again, just so we can see what we're busy doing, right? Now, you have to think of the end game when you're busy at the start here, which is difficult, but if you do that, it allows you to consider what the hair might look like if you do this and all the rest, because obviously the hair doesn't fit and it's throwing things off a little bit, the eyes don't fit, and so on and so forth. But you can see that the extremes are there. And if we now do the patterns differently, you'll see that some of these things change. It looks a little different, right? So let's switch that one back. Let's throw this one on, and then let's look what that looks like if we go through the patterns. Right? Throw that back. Put this one in. So you can do some really, really, really cool and interesting stuff with this. It's just going to take you a long time to figure it all out. And that's not a bad thing. That just means that people who can make attractive looking Beastren, they are truly skilled at this process. So that's a show. I can't really say it's a showcase. It's a showing, even if it's a little weak, of the types of stuff you can do here. And I really, really hope that some of you guys have what it takes to make this work, because I want to see those Beastren characters. And it's like, it's sad, because you go on like the Reddits and you look at like the fashion Dogma Reddit and stuff like that, and you end up seeing very little of the Beastren and very little of, well, the slightly more unique stuff. You know, you see all the pretty human females, but like this, it's been left a little at the wayside, you know? So let's work together and make Beastren great again. Now, I'm going to continue like this. I'm going to take it sort of, I'll put like a little bit of black and white in. I'll mix it up a tiny bit. I'm going to take that, and we're going to bring it down a little bit. So you guys see what I'm going for here? I'm going for something that doesn't distract too much, because if you pull this up to the max, I mean, geez, man, it's a bit of an eyesore. So we'll take that. And in terms of the pattern, we can take anything here. I kind of like the tiger stripes, but I'm really partial to these. I'm not sure if that's leopard or jaguar or cheetah or something like that. I like these ones. Okay, I like those. So we're going to go with that for now, and then we're going to jump onto the other options. I will just say again, as we leave in this, the fur options, far and away the most important thing you can do on a Beastren character. And I mean, actually, if I do this, it might make some sense to just take number one rather without the pattern, because you'll see when we get to the face, then we will have a lot of different patterns that we can apply there that aren't connected to the main pattern. But let's move on to the body stuff. If we were doing a human customization video, we'd be long gone done here, because there are no options like that on human. But the body stuff, pretty cool. You can make your character massive, and I really mean massive. Like, this is the default, and then you bring it down, and it's like, This also increases your weight, which apparently has gameplay implications. I don't know how it really works, but people have told me it's important. You got the torso length here. I kind of like on the Beastren to make the torso length quite long. I don't know why, but it feels like it works for me. It just feels like it suits them. Then we have the muscle style. Now, this is one of the things that I think is just kind of, it's semi-pointless on Beastren. Now, it depends on your choices, again, for your color, for the fur and stuff like that. I'm putting the strength on 100, and I'm going to show you how it looks. So you can very faintly through here see that the muscles and the shading on the muscles on the body are changing, but it's so faint that, man, it barely matters. You can see it in certain situations and in certain lighting and stuff like that. And when you get closer to the end here, when you get the older ones, the sort of, I don't want to say flabby, but like the older skin types with the wrinkles and stuff, you can sort of see that shining through, but it's only a sort of, you know? So this whole thing is to sort of, it's a pointless option when you're on Beastren. I would say just leave it on 0 and leave it on, well, type 1 or something like that. Or if you can somehow figure out which one is which, this might be the older skin, then I would say go for like a muscular one if that's what you want, or an older one if that's what you want, I don't know. But like, you go through here and even though it's set on 100, you can barely see what's going on. So find one that works for you, pick it, and I suppose just chill, you know? So trap size. Yeah, that's the trap size. Upper body muscle mass. I kind of like the way the cats look with the big muscles. Lower body muscle size. They fit well. Like, it suits this style of body, in my opinion. So, I mean, if I'm going to ever make a cat character for my main character or my main pawn, it'll probably be muscular. I mean, who am I kidding? It's like all my characters are going to be muscular. It's just happening. You can put the weight on a little bit. It's the same as human. And just in case anyone was wondering, it's the same as human. So, everything here, your body type, the way the body reacts to add in more weight to it, the lot of it, it's all the same as human. Right, so when you make your character skinny, when you make your character big and muscular, it's all just the same. So it's just a human body, but with fur, right? So you've got a lot of movement here, and you can go to the extremes on both sides. So if you go like all the way this way, you can see you can make your character pretty skinny. And this is not all of it. We're going to go into the individual options as well. And if you go on the max, you can make your character pretty big as well. There you go. Like, yeah. Alright, you can take the muscles off as well if you want to. This, that, and that. You can do that too. But, yeah, I mean, it all depends on your personal preference, I suppose. When you're done with that, you can do the head. Let's zoom in a little bit. Head options are a little dangerous. You got to always keep zooming out when you're changing these to make sure you don't make the head too big or too small. I do feel like when you start adding muscles and stuff like that, you need to make the head a little bit bigger so it doesn't look out of place, because your character will be bigger in the body then. But you can change the head size overall. You can change the head length. That's up and down. The width, that's to the sides, obviously. The depth, which is forward and back. There you go. And then your neck length. And your thickness. Yeah, so it's a decent selection of head options. And it does affect the way that your detailed customization works out. So it's something to pay attention to. Upper body, these are quite cool. Once again, you combine this with the overall body options to make big changes. You can do shoulder width, shoulder size, chest thickness. Interesting option, that. Then you can do chest size. I'll zoom in for you so you can see. Very much the same as human. Yeah, I don't think it's even a little bit different. You can do the shape. They point in or they point out. I'm actually not sure where the default is anymore, which is kind of scary. You can do the height. There you go. Chest height. All the way up, all the way down. And this is also sort of different if you do this size, like so. There you go. I trust you guys will figure this out. There you go. Then you can do the torso width. That's a little lower down. Yeah. Torso depth. Arm length. Arm size. And this is what I said before, is like you can come in here and you can actually individually customize some of the stuff. And I appreciate that you can do the biceps and the forearms and all that stuff separately. Lower body, similar situation. There's the waist. There's the waist size, forward and back, the rear size. Yeah, you can you can be pretty well endowed. The leg size overall, and this is in addition to the options that you have in the overall body selection as well. There you go. And then finally we have the posture. This is a pretty fun menu. You basically just pick the way your character moves. You can go on this one. It's like longer strides as far as I can tell. And I mean, it changes very, very sort of faintly the way your character walks. I don't know. It's delicate. Like, it's not much. If you look at it from this angle, you can see he leans a little bit forward or backwards. It's weird. This one is weird. I don't see very much happening with it, but you can see it sort of slightly changes the way that they put their feet down and the way that they move their arms, and it's all very slight. Right? These ones are slightly more impactful. You can do the elbows out all the way. You can do them in all the way. I'm not going to say it is, but it feels to me like you can make the walk a little bit more feminine versus a little bit more masculine. Same with the knees. You can have them fling out or fling in if you want to. And then finally you have the posture itself. You can have your character hunch forward, which can work. It can definitely work. And you can have them lean back, which obviously also can work. I don't know how this works if you run. I don't know if your character runs leaning back like some cartoon character. But it's kind of funny either way. That is the end of the body options. We're going to move on to the head stuff now. The base head choice here is completely linked to our preset picker that we did earlier, right? So basically, in the preset picker, you had the round faces versus the longer faces. So I don't think that this is meant to be like older versus younger or anything like that. So you're choosing if you want like a cutesy, tootsy round face or a slightly longer one, which could be seen as more predatory. I don't know, man. No, that's actually untrue. It's a weird thing to look at, but it's basically just a longer face or a shorter face. And, you know, your features, they will adjust accordingly. So it's kind of an important choice, just like your face was back then. It is just a bit sad that they don't have more than this for the Beastren. I understand the Beastren look a certain way, but like it would have been cool to have a little bit more in terms of options. However, we are going to jump in and customize it. Now, for the purposes of this, we'll take the one that we had initially. Just know that you can round it out a little bit more. Okay? Brow. Here we go. Again, far less options than on the human customization, but it's all right. The brow options, it's kind of weird. When I come in here on a human character, it's always my go-to to say that, yeah, this is a very impactful set of options, because this sort of dictates the mood of your character. And it still does on Beastren, but to a much lesser degree. The way that this changes now, and the way that you sort of see your character's face being sculpted, it doesn't affect the overall mood of the character quite as much. It does, but not as much. So you can see that I'm moving these things around here, but it's having much less of an impact on the character's expression. I feel like the brow bend is the most sort of impactful one overall. You can have a more concerned look like this, or you can have a more curious look with the brows up. It's nice, and it's super subtle. And again, it all comes back to me saying what I said before, that if you can make a good Beastren character, then you really are a professional. Like, it's not easy. It's really just not easy. The eye options are impactful, in contrast to the previous ones we just looked at. You can move them up or down quite a lot. You can move them to the sides quite a lot. And I kind of like the fact that they actually look relatively natural when you move them wider on a Beastren face. You can change the depth. The size, they maxed already. You can make them smaller. I'm going to leave them maxed. The angle, also kind of cool, because both of these look relatively nice. Then you can close one eye, close the other eye, close both eyes, or change the squint on the eyes. Again, what this does is it allows you to make your character look more innocent, or more, I think the word would probably be predatory or serious. It's sort of nice going in the middle, because you can sort of get a bit of both on that, and it doesn't really set any standard by default. The nose options are interesting on the Beastren, and this is something I've also struggled with a little bit, because they are very impactful, but you never really know where they're supposed to be. It's kind of weird, right? So I'm leaving it on the lowest, so we've got like a nice long schnooty. Then you can do the bridge, the width here. And I feel like these are big options, you know, these are impactful options, but I just don't know where to put them. I'm going to leave this one on the lowest. Nostril height. That can work pretty much anywhere. Width. See, you can actually change this drastically. Then tilt, tip angle, sorry. Oh, that's kind of cool. The depth. We're not on the angle yet, the angle's next, but the depth is kind of cool. I feel like that's a completely different sort of style that you go in for there than the angle. The angle you have to look from the front as well. And then the sharpness. Yeah, so, man, you gotta be careful with these options. You could easily mess this up. The ears are super duper fun. I love what they've got here. So there are styles available. You can pick one of their styles if you like. And they're okay. They're okay. They're okay. But it's kind of fun to move these around. So you can change the size. And I feel like if you're going for a Beastren, you could just as well go for a max size. Angle. openness, the lobe size, not exactly where you'd expect it, the tip sharpness, so you can have sort of, I can't really say elvish ears, because there are cats, definitely many cats with sharp ears, the tip bend, which is... I cannot do that. I cannot. I was endlessly amused by this when I did my full video. Flap, 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 flap. Okay, and then the rotation. It's just so cool. I love it. And then you can also twist the ears a little bit. I mean, I get the feeling that people who are proper cat people who can tell the difference, you could probably make like your pedigree kitty cat here and have it look really nice and sort of make it, again, realistic. I'm making air quotes, but I'm not good enough with cats to know the difference. So, cheek. Cheek options are a pretty big deal. This is where you will match your face to your body. And by that I mean if you picked a bigger body, this is your main area of interest to make your face bigger to match it as well. Or if you picked a smaller body, this is where you'll come to make your face smaller. Because these are pretty impactful and they sort of change the shape of your face quite drastically, as you can see. So this is where you make your character a slight little thing or a big old cat, you know? There's a lot of nice options here for that stuff. And there's a lot to work with. Here's the width. And finally the depth. So yeah, like if you pull these all to the extreme on this side, you've got quite a skinny little cat. And if you push it all to the max, you can be pretty big. Yeah, it's a good set of options. Overall, I kind of like it. Then we have the mouth. Mouth height. You can take it up or down. I again feel like on the Beastren it sort of looks okay no matter where you put it. The mouth width. Man, when you make it small it looks a little weird, I suppose. You can see it's just sort of stretching this piece out and it tends to look better if it's on the default position. Protrusion. Yeah, this is again one of those things where you can actually put it anywhere and it'll look okay. Then the mouth corners. I still don't understand. It never looks good when you put them on max. I don't know if anyone's ever made a character that looks good when you have the smile in, because it just looks like a creepy smile. Whisker position. That's the protrusion of your top lip, basically. There you go. And then lower lip position, forward and back. That's it. Next up, the jaws and chin. Along with the cheeks, probably the most impactful. So these two, the jaw and the chin plus the cheeks. Here's the jaw definition. But what happens here is you have it square out and be a bit sharper at the back end, and this one squares it out and has it a bit more like it's sort of heavier around the chin area. So you put in the definition here versus back there. Basically, that's the way this works. Then the width, it just squares out the back a little bit, gives you that chiseled look. Position, this is higher jaw, lower jaw. You can see it on the side if I pull it up here. Kind of nice, both ways. The jaw protrusion is down at the bottom. It's actually this, I would call this option the jowls, is what I would call it. Other character creators usually call that the jowls. It's not really the jaw. Then the chin height. Chin width. Chin protrusion. That's in and out, as you can see there. And chin sharpness. There we go. I kind of like it with the sharp chin, but I think either way it looks alright. And that brings us to the end of the sculpting for the head. Now we're going to move on to the hair. And it's just the hair, unfortunately. It's like you've done the fur already, so it's just the hair. There are no beards on the female Beastren. So let's do this. I'm going to make this black. And I'm going to make the secondary color white. And I'm going to put the tip blend on sort of in the middle. There we go. And we're going to go through the hairstyles. Now, for anyone wondering, the way this works is you pick a style, then you can do the tip and a root blend, and you can have it either all the way or none of the way, right? So that's the max, that's empty. Each style sort of reacts differently. So you'll see some of them will have more white versus less white, and we look at the sheen and the sheen position afterwards. Let's look at the styles. So now you can sort of see at least where the white will be coming from, where it'll be blended from, and you can sort of know that going forward. This is kind of nice. Oh, oops. I kind of like that one as well. I don't know, I feel like the short styles look really good on the Beastren, for the most part, because I'm not going to say the longer ones look like wigs, makes it look like they sort of pretending to be human, but I guess that sort of is the feeling I get, where the hair looks a little unnatural. And again, what this comes down to is mastery. You need to know what you're doing here. But I from my first impression of the creation for the Beastren, from my limited experience, it feels like things like dreads and braids make a lot of sense, plus the shorter styles, like this one, for instance. This has a braid with a short style, which is really fantastic. They make more sense and they look more natural on these characters. Not that I'm saying the others look super unnatural, but they just look a little weird. It might just be a personal preference kind of thing, but like I really think these kinds of styles look just a little better. And the dreads. Dreads and braids, dude. It's all about the dreads and braids. I'm sorry, I'm like using some sort of very similar colors here. I'll show you what the other colors look like in just a moment. Oh, the curly ones actually look rather nice as well. I kind of like these as well, yeah. Very cool. And we're back at the start. Yeah. So I'm going to just pick a different color quickly and I'll go through them again with like a, let's say, a lighter color. Like this. And I'll just go relatively quickly through them so you can just see what it looks like. And I don't know. I want to say formulate your opinion based on at least two different styles versus just the one color that I showed you. I think it's very important. Even though when you don't put hair on them, because like, I mean, like, let's be real here. Cats. Big cats. The only ones that actually have hairstyles are the male lions, right? You don't see a cheetah running around with it. I mean, maybe you do, I guess. But like, that's to me why it looks more natural when you have a shorter style. But there are a few decent options here, and I firmly believe you can find something that looks kind of nice. Again, I personally like stuff like this. I think this looks really cool on this. But there are a lot of good colors to pick from, and we're going to go through them now. What I'm going to do is I'm putting the blend down, right? So it's off. And then we're going to take color number, let's take something like, I don't want anything too black because then you're not going to be able to see the details. Let's get a nice brown. God, like where's a nice brown? Sure, let's just go through all the colors from the start first. Right, so you basically have a massive selection here, and anything that is hair will always have the same selection. This actually looks relatively nice. And I'm thinking, again, if you're going to make this work, if you're going to be able to set something up here that looks good, you'll want to go with sort of a theme of colors. If you start going like full Clown Fiesta mode, then you might end up with something that just looks out of place. And the word I used before was tacky. It's kind of difficult to pull off because there's just so much on offer. But I think if you go for a set theme every time you make a character on Beastren, it can work. It can really work. That's the thing, though, is I really haven't seen that many examples of good-looking characters for Beastren, male or female, that have high contrast. I saw someone making a panda bear, right? And I saw someone making what looked like a cow print on their character, and that was about it. Otherwise, the characters are usually people making copies of their own cats at home, which I think is just the most adorable thing ever. I'm sorry, it's just, that's how I see it. It's cute. And I like that, but again, more often than not, it ends up being usually pretty straightforward. Like, they all have ginger cats for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of good colors here. It's a decent selection, and if you go with the like interesting blend on it, you can probably come up with something fun and exciting, you know? Then our next option here, which I'm going to use a black style to show you how it works. This is the, let's pick a nice style, like, which one can I use? God, you know, take that one. the sheen. So the way this works is if you put sheen on your hair, it makes it shiny. It makes it sort of, you know, a little glossy looking. Then, but you can also move the sheen position. The way I see the sheen position working is that when you move the sheen position down to 0, it has no like central focus for the light. The light is just on all the strands individually, and it makes it look more detailed, I suppose. But if you pull the sheen position all the way to max, then it makes it look like a smoother style. And I think that both of those can definitely work, because when you zoom out, you can see the difference. It makes it sort of crisper when it's on 0 and smoother when it's on 100. I think that it depends on the hairstyle. You're going to want to look at the hairstyles that you're considering using, and you're going to see what sheen looks better on them. There's no hard or fast rule with you know, one that looks 100% better all the time. Now, I'm just going to take this style again, and for what I've got going here, I'm going to pick the white style again. I kind of like it. I know it's very contrasty and it's a little distracting, but I feel more comfortable with just blacks and whites. I don't know why. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up now. Hopefully we can make it sort of match. That's it for the hair. We're moving on to the makeup now. This is very, very interesting. So I said before the fur was the most impactful thing, and I feel like this is number 2 on the impact scale for Beastren. Now, this is a tough one to show off because there's a lot of different variations. So this is the one where I'm going to say, hey, you've got to jump in for yourself and check it out. However, I'm going to do my best to try and show it off. So there are presets. These are facial patterns. It's separate from the pattern on the body, but it's just as impactful. Now, you're not going to see it very nicely if I leave the colors on the default. But the problem is when I start changing the colors, then it doesn't always save properly, so it's like it's kind of difficult. Now, I'm going to pull the intensity up, right? So check this out. It's going to be, the word is again tacky. It's going to look a little weird, out of place, silly, perhaps, but at least you can see exactly what you're working with. Now, these are the presets. So what this is they've taken a bunch of different patterns here and combined them. So on this one specifically, I'll show you what's making it look bad. It's this one over here. So you take this off, and suddenly it looks way more interesting because there's actually a pattern. Keep that in mind. I'm going to go through them all, but if you look at this and you think, oh, well, geez, then you just take that off, and then it's just better. The reason I put this on is so that you can see the difference. So you can see quite clearly exactly what these do and how much they change the character's face. So there are a few interesting presets here, and there are a few that I think are relatively good if you modify them a little bit. And sometimes they just work if you have the colors right, but I mean, I feel like for the most part, you're going to want to fiddle a little bit, right? So this is a combination of markings, and you could say like tattoos and makeup and fur colors all together. It's like a bunch of stuff, but it's so important. There's just so much here. So those are the presets. Then there's color presets. The color presets don't do us much good, once again, because we've got a dark fur color here. So I wouldn't care too much about those. It just changes these. Now I'm going to make my own pattern, and I'm going to try and show you how it works. So the base patterns that they have here, look at the picture. It's basically the bottom of the face and then the top of the face. Pointless. I'm going to leave that off for now. You can make it work, and you can make it do something interesting if you want to make subtle changes. So for instance, we take that and then we put that on. You can make subtle changes, and you can... the way I see it is you can remove some of the natural markings on the face by using a color and putting it over it, right? But you can change it. So you can do the opacity on it. You can do the intensity on it as well, over here. And there are so many different options that come together to make this yes or no. You know? So fiddle, find something that works and hone in on it. And then make it work for you in the setting that you've got. Now, I'm going to make these two colors white, right? And then we're going to go through, let's make it white and that color. Then we're going to go through some of these and have a look. So these are the ones at the top with the eyes and the eyebrows. There are a few different options here. I think I should also make this white. I can't really see it very well. There you go. Decent choices. They're okay. And you can see it's not including this bottom piece, right? So if I take all of these off first and I show it to you like this, it's just this. Wait, is that the wrong one? Here we go. It's just those ones at the top. So, relatively cool. if I had to pick one of these, I'd probably take something like that one or that one. And I'd say, yeah, that looks fantastic. Now you can combine it with the eyes, and you can make something pretty cool on that. And again, I want to apologize for the fact that I'm using black on white. I know it doesn't look great, but it's the easiest way to show it off. I went through this before I recorded. I looked what I could do, but when I ended up using brown and brown, or like a brown and like a orangey color, or like any of the other shades, they even have some interesting greens in there. I ended up not finding a decent selection for it, and I didn't find a good way of showing everything off. So I'm doing it like this, but just know if you are a little bit creative, you can make it look so much better than what I'm doing here, right? Okay, so let's take something subtle there for the purposes of this, and I'm going to show you all the colors in just a moment, what you can do. This is the markings under the eye. I think that if you go with all of these on, you might at a certain point end up having too much detail on the face, especially if it's all the same color. But I think it can also look quite attractive if you do it right. So this is the nose marking. Then we have, I think that's basically it, right? They don't have any marking specifically for the bottom here. But then we have a bunch of stuff to change down here, and we've got the colors. I'm going to show you the colors first. So they've got the blacks. They've got some like sort of gray, murky colors. Then they've got the lighter whites. Then they've got some browns, and like there are some greeny shades in here as well. Then you got like the tans and the browns, the dusty colors down here, all the way up to like a dusty white, right? Again, for this, I'll just take the brightest one, and it's the same on these, so you can sort of pick similar stuff if you want. And yeah, I mean, like there's quite a lot that you can do. There are a lot of different combos that you could make work here. Then on top of all of that, you get to set all these options down here. This is the pattern's intensity. That's pattern 2's intensity, which I don't think we've got on right now. Then we've got the face pattern opacity at the top, the eye pattern opacity, so that's the overall one, and these are the individual ones. Cheeks and nose. So I'd say pretty cool, right? You can do cool stuff with this. I don't know if you guys find this visually appealing. I feel like it has something missing. If we put armor on, yeah, I mean, this looks alright, right? But again, I went for black and white. It's very uninspired. And I do think that maybe if you had to take a little bit of the pressure off by making the hair a different color, it might look better. But just keep in mind, there's a lot you can do here. Okay? I mean, really like a lot. Now, nose color. This is a very cute option. You're changing just the tippy of the snooty over there, and you can make it basically anything. Yeah, I think that they've got sort of a quote-unquote grounded in reality situation going on here, but I don't know exactly. It's sort of a weird setup that they've made. I don't know what colors cats' noses can be. I'm sorry. I'm gonna out myself here as not a cat person. But you can have it be pretty bright, which I like. And you know what? If I look at all these options here, I like how white looks, but just putting a pink snooty on there, it's kind of nice. Yeah, it's kind of cute, right? It kind of works. But you could also go for like a gray one, where it's like a mix of the white and the black. So yeah, you can do the sheen. That's just the shininess on it. And then the opacity, as I mentioned, along with the intensity. Yeah, cool. Eyes. These are much the same as the human eyes, but you have a few more options. Firstly, you can do both eyes separately. I'm not going to show that off in great detail here, but you can do heterochromia, easy peasy. And these guys have extra eye types. So you'll see on the eyes there, we've got a regular looking eye. You've got one with slightly more detail and slightly more darkness. Then you've got the glazed over eyes. I guess you could call it that. And then finally, they have like these sort of, I don't know if that's cat-like or snake-like, but they have these eyes that I consider cat-like. I'm going to customize these to show you the colors because it's the unique one to the Beastren. Now you can pick a color preset here. Their color presets on the Beastren are alright. They're interesting, they're fine, but I firmly believe that if you want to get the most out of this, you pick your own colors and you go with like colors, or at least colors that can complement each other, right? So if you jump in here and you go through this entire list and it just doesn't look right on any of them, that's probably because they're not really using enough high contrast in there. But there's a lot to choose from. So if you come into the eye colors here, it's a massive list. It doesn't help if I go through all of them, because you will notice that it's just changing a tiny little portion because there's 3 different colors you have to choose. So what I'll do is I'll pick red here. I'll go up and I'll pick red here. I'll go up and I'll pick red here. And then that's what the red eyes look like. All right? So you can change the iris size. and the pupil size, which is kind of cool. And then once again, it looks different based on the eyes that you've picked here. Now I'll show you a different one. Let's show you white. And you can see how these colors combine. Like if you take the white on the middle, it actually makes quite an interesting effect, right? If you take white on all of them, the white is pretty bright. Then you can go down here, and there's a lot of cool colors. I'll show you what green looks like. I tend to try and do this where I show a few of the nice bright colors off. And while I like the way this game's eyes work, they are not the most bright and impactful and interesting eyes that I've ever seen in a video game. They're still quite good though. That's the green. Let's show you the blue quickly. Let's take 299. That's a good one. There you go. And really, you can be very creative with this if you fiddle with the colors. So the blue is kind of nice. I would actually probably use blue on this. I think it looks relatively good. And then all the way down to like there's a purple down here. That's about it. I think that you could probably find something nice. Yeah. I would probably, if I had to pick something, I'd say I'd go with like a blue and white combination. I could go with a black and white combination, but eh. And then if you choose the sclera color over here, then that's the background. Usually that's white. It's very small on the Beastren at the back there. You can see it's got all the same color choices, but yeah, you generally don't even see it. So like when you have this on default, then you can't see it. The eyes are too big already. So we'll leave it like that for now. Just know that you can do both eyes separately if you'd like to, and you're going to want to like mix and match the colors a little bit. It is very cool when you do that. So as an example, if I go for the white on here as well, it kind of creates an interesting effect, right? A very interesting effect. Here you go. Eyes. Eyelashes. They're currently black. You can do a root and tip blend here. So if you choose a black and a lighter color, then you can have them blend. You can see it changing over there, but it's very minor. And you can also change the length. They have slightly less options here compared to the humans, but I think it's more than enough for a Beastren. Teeth. They have slightly different teeth. So they have 2, 4, 6, whereas the humans have 8 and 8. They have 8 and 6. You can change the color of the teeth from black all the way through to like a slightly decayed color, right? And then you can also pick which teeth you want to include. So you can sort of neuter your Beastren by taking out the canines, or you can just put the canines in and leave all the others out. You can sort of do what you want with this. I think it's a fun system, but there isn't really all that much like use to changing it, because I don't know how often your character is even going to open its mouth, if ever. Then you get to change your claw color, which I kind of like the option. I like that they have this here, but basically it's the claws on your hands and feet. There's just a few colors here, but it's nice to create that extra little bit of contrast, right? It's nice. Look at the thumb over here if you want to see it. There you go. It's on the feet as well. You just have to take my word for it. Then, we move on to the final section. This is the tattoos and markings section. This one is weird for me, right? So you have tattoo presets here. I have mentioned before, it is kind of hard to see what you're actually doing here on the Beastren. Again, because you can see there's a tattoo there right now, and if I zoom in all the way, you can just barely see it. It's difficult. The tattoos, you have to put the tattoos on with brighter colors, so going through this list here, it's pointless. You'll see we'll have some brighter colors a bit later on, like here's a red, and there is a white one there, which looks fantastic, but you have to really tailor this specifically for the Beastren. Alright, so as I say that, and as I go through these last ones, I'll jump in and show you what they work like. The tattoo system in this game is phenomenal. I'm going to just quickly reset the ones that I put on there. It's a great system. It's just not the most useful on Beastren because you are slightly limited. Now, I've got a black furred Beastren, so I'm going to once again use white. I'm sorry, I know it's like it is tacky, but I'm going to use white to just show off how the system works, and then you're going to have to come in here and do it for yourself. So you have a lot of options for the tattoos. I'm going to show you the selection of tattoos before we do anything else, and then we'll just talk about all the options that you have for them individually. So there's a full list here, and you will notice, and the best place to look is over here, you will notice some of them have multiple color choices, right? So you can basically choose those colors. This one has the primary as white, the secondary as blue, and the tertiary as the bronze color, and some of them just have the one single tone, and you can change those to any which way you want. There's a lot of choices for colors as well, a decent amount, and then you can change the shape and size of some of them. You will notice that some of them are a little stretched. As an example, this one looks good here, but on the body it looks bad because you need to bring the horizontal in a little bit, basically. And a lot of the others are the same. But when you've picked something here, and we're going to pick something here for ourselves in just a moment, then you can do a massive amount of customization, like a humongous amount of customization. There's an okay selection, and I feel like they've definitely covered their bases with the war paint versus tattoos. They've got everything you need there, and it's kind of nice. They also give you a lot of interesting shapes that you can mess around with to make interesting stuff. But for this video, let's take... I like doing the text, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So, colors. I'll go through the colors very briefly over here. You can see we've got an okay selection. There are some brighter colors which don't always stand out all that much, especially not on the Beastren, but you do have a selection. I'll take white for now. Now, the body tattoos are for the body and the face, and you can put 2 on. So if you click this, then you go down, then there's another tattoo to edit over here. If you take it off, there's no tattoo. You get 2 per zone. The zones are split into body, right arm, right leg, left leg, and it's all the same. So if you go onto right arm, you've got the same tattoos here, the same options here, everything. So we're just going to look at the one, and you can just imagine that you can put it on all of them. Now, vertical position, you can move all the way up onto the face. And if you've got face markings, you will notice that it's a bit difficult to sort of see what's going on. It's kind of a pointless situation putting a tattoo over the markings. But you can see that you can take it all the way up and all the way down into the character's crotch, basically. Right? Then you can do horizontal. This brings it all the way around the character's waist. Also quite useful. Then you can do the rotation. And it's important to note that through all of this, the tattoo, it regains its fidelity. Like, it looks good, it's sharp, it doesn't lose any detail, it doesn't blur or smudge or anything. And with that said, even when you push the overall scale all the way up, it still looks good. And I love that about this system. It is really, really, really great. So you can go all the way up to the top here, and it can start like overlapping and stuff, and it still looks good. Like, you can go really big with this. You can basically cover your entire character. Or you can go really small, where you can basically not even see it. Right? So there's a lot of options available here. You can do whatever you want with it. It's really going to reward creativity, this system. Then, if that wasn't enough, you can also tile it. Who the hell knows why? Then you can change the scale as well. You can have the entire character covered in these sacred texts. I mean, to be honest, I think that you could probably make something pretty cool with this if you wanted to. You just need to mess around and find exactly what works for you. But you can tile it, yeah. And then you can do the opacity on the tattoo. Let me just bring the size down quickly. There you go. The opacity, you know what that is. Then you can do the intensity. The intensity is weird. I don't know exactly how it works. I feel like on the lighter colors, when you're on the lowest one, then it's max. And then when you're on the higher ones, then it makes it darker. So it's basically like the black point or like the contrast or something. But you'll have to fiddle with that. Then you can make it metallic, which I kind of like on this, along with add in sheen. Then you can make it look sort of like it's a metallic paint that's on your character. And it looks good when you put it on a different, like a bigger, more... There you go. A bigger, more all-encompassing tattoo. And you can do cool stuff with this. Just want to mention that again. You can do really cool stuff with this. You can make yourself into like an Iron Kitty. You know? Foil cat. There you go. You can do it. You can do basically anything. And the system itself, super flexible because you can put 2 different tattoos here. You can combine them to make different shapes. You can basically, if you take this as an example and you pull the scale all the way up, you can make your entire character silver. And then you can do the same on the arms and the legs, and then everything will be covered. Yeah? And you can do that with any color, by the way. So you can go full black, and you can make like an oil or tar cat. You can go for like a blue color, and you can make yourself into Mystique from the X-Men. It's just insane. It's insane. You can do some real clown nonsense here. And I love it for that, but I hate it for that as well, because there's just too much, and I don't know how to handle it. So there you go. That's what you've got for the tattoos. And again, that looks kind of nice if you throw like a golden one on there or a red or something like that. You can really do fun stuff with it, right? So we'll take the tattoo off for now. The rest of them work the same. I will show you an example quickly. Let's do this. Let's make it white. There's the arm one, exactly the same. You can move it up and down. You can change the rotation. You can do everything. It's exactly the same, right? Then, scars. These actually look alright. The presets, they're a little difficult once again. They look good, and I feel like they look how you'd expect them to look, right? So the scars, they have some burn marks, some dirt, some like, you know, grisly looking stuff. You don't see it so well on the Beastren, but I still feel like the scars themselves overall work how you would think they would work on a character with fur. So that's better in some ways than the tattoos, but in other ways, you know, it depends on what you want, I guess. So if you reset here, they have exactly the same system as the tattoos. So you pick the scar that you want, and we'll preview it down here quickly. I'll just move the position down a little bit. Down a little bit. They have a selection, and you can move them around in the same way. You can do the scale in the same way. You can do everything basically in the same way. They got some scars, some burn marks, and then some stitches. It's kind of cool. Yeah? There's kind of fun stuff you can do with them. I've seen some pretty unique combinations where people have like taken this as an example, then they move it up to the top where they cut off like half the face, right? And then they come back to the tattoos and they take something like the big circle, then they move it up and to the side, and then they cover that. So like it's a really cool idea, but I'm not sure exactly how to do it just yet. So if I take that, I'm trying to see if I can make it work quickly. It's a very like off the cuff thing that I'm trying to do here, and I'm not sure if I can. So vertical, we're doing horizontal scale more. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and then I'm gonna move. That's good, and then I'm gonna move that to match it, right? I think that's how we're gonna do it. So we don't want it to tile. We want it to be sort of like that. Then we'll go with the scar again. I'm just trying to show you what I mean by it. Then they put this on here, and then you'll rotate it a little bit so it matches. Like that. Okay. You get the idea, right? So I've seen people doing pretty unique stuff with this. Now, it's easily done. I am just a bit of a buffoon, and I don't know exactly how. I guess we'd take a square one for it, right? Like this one. And then you'd want to rotate, and then bring it this way. Let's see, and then rotate again. Yeah, there we go. Something like this, right? So I've seen people doing fun stuff with this, where they sort of combine the tattoos and the scars, and it really works. But it's something you're gonna have to look at, something you're gonna have to sort of really take care with. But it is something that can make a huge impact. Anyway, so you have these stitches, you have smaller stitches over there, and then you have some bigger scars, and you can obviously make these bigger if you want and smaller if you want. So as an example, let's take this one right here. You can change the vertical position as we did before. You can change the horizontal position as we did before. Let's bring it up onto the chest again. Then you can rotate it all the way. And this is for the body and the face once again. The overall size can be massive, or it can be teeny weeny. Then you can tile them as well. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that. You can make them bigger. There you go. I actually think maybe you could make like a cool lightning effect with these. I don't know. But that's the tiling. And then you can change the opacity along with intensity is very important for these. It makes it darker and it kind of looks cool, you know, on certain scars. So it can work. And then you can make the sheen higher, which I think works for a scar as well. It's nice if it's a little shiny. But that's it. You can put 2 pieces on the body. You can put 2 pieces on each of the arms and each of the legs. Then our final option here is and we're going to take this off first, the dirt. The dirt's an interesting one. It's again something that doesn't look all that impactful in many situations on the fur, but it does depend on the color. So you'll see now if I change the color here, we get some lighter colored ones that you can definitely see all the way down to like number 12, I think, which is very white, as you can see there. And then you can also change the coverage, which I think quite naturally adds more dirt, which I like. And you can change the opacity. Then there are different types here. So type 2, this one's more, it covers the whole body, basically. And again, with this, I've seen people making sort of things like zombies or like undead type characters where you can sort of add a little bit of what looks like rot to your character. And honestly, it works. It's like there's some situations where you can make some pretty gnarly looking stuff. This one is sort of similar, but it doesn't have the top of the face covered, right? But you'll see that there are some that look, in my opinion, really interesting and can work. But you get a similar effect with your skin, your fur choices with these characters, so I don't know. It's kind of a tough one, or it's one of those things, once again, where you're just going to want to spend some time on it and figure it out. But that does actually bring us to the end. And what you do now, once you've changed everything and got everything the way you want it, is you can have a look at your character in different lighting, which is probably quite important. You can look at it, this is different times of day, and then this is different environments. Once again, different environments with different times of day as well. You'd probably want to look at it in all those different ones. And then you pick your options here, like your vocation from the basics that they have available here, and your voice. I'm going to go through the voices quickly. There are male voices here and female voices. You can give them a listen, and you can make up your mind. And that's it for the voices. Now, when you finished here, when you finalized what you want, so you pick the voice you want, then you can jump in, and then they'll ask you to put your name in. You can put whatever you like in here. Then they'll ask you to put a moniker in. This is a preset selection from a bunch of different names that they have here. I've mentioned a bunch of times, I don't know exactly what this is for, so if you do know how they use the moniker, I don't know if this was in Dragon's Dogma 1. If you do know how they use it, then I'd love to hear. I understand a lot of games used to do this because it allows you to pick a name that the game itself knows is confirmed as safe, and you can sort of have the game even speak that name to you. I don't know if they got all the voice actors to like say all these different names here or what, but it could just be like a code name for you or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly how this is used, but a lot of people have their names here to pick from. Other people do not. And yeah, you'll just have to make do. I think you can actually jump in without picking a moniker. I'm not 100% sure, but I think if you don't pick one, it picks one for you. So you might want to pick one. Just saying. But there's a lot of them. The whole alphabet's covered here, and you will definitely, probably find one that you sort of resonate with. Right? There you go. And that is that. We're done. I really like the Beastren customization, but I still feel I'm kind of trash at it. I don't know, man. Thank you guys for joining me for this. Like, the character creation in this game is so phenomenal. It's so good. It's so cool. On all of the different races and the masculine and feminine and everything. But man, I struggle a bit on the Beastren one, so I'd love to hear from you guys what you've managed to make work. The overall system and what they give you for this is just great. Like the amount of options for the fur, for the different color choices, again, for the hair, for all the particulars, the fine tuning that you can do. It's more than enough, and it's all that you need. And again, it's just like a big thumbs up, man. It's really, really, really good. I keep mentioning this in all my videos, that Dragon's Dogma, it gives you basically gold standard options in terms of the visual fidelity, in terms of the inclusiveness, in terms of the sheer number of options available. There's just a lot, you know? It's great. I love it. But for this one specifically, I'd love to hear from you guys, to hear if you were able to create something that you were like truly happy with, you know? That really worked for you. I want to hear that. But hey, dudes, thanks for joining me. I appreciate the company. You can, as always, check back here soon for more. You can find my links below. My coffee page and my Twitch channel. And hey, yeah, give this one a like. Share it and do all that other good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't already. And happy making those characters in Dragon's Dogma 2. Happy that.